I think if you love Valentine, then great. It's a movie that deserves your love.
In the morning, I'm making waffles.
Whoever said orange was the new pink was seriously disturbed.
And when it comes to huge openings, a lot of people think of me.
Just call me a fuck ass.
Brilliant. Scary. I get nasty when I'm horny.
Welcome to Not Another 2001 Movie Podcast, a show exploring movies released in the first year of a chaotic century. Today, we're going to be showing you some bonus love. I'm Slate.
I'm Josh.
Allison wanted to join us for this episode, but she's feeling a little bit under the weather. So she did pass along some show notes to us on today's film. We'll get to those, but they can largely be summed up in just one sentence. That sentence is pretty disappointing if you ask me, but we'll go ahead and read it anyways. From Allison, this movie is so bad that it gave me the flu. Now, I completely disagree with that, and we're about to get into the movie that we're talking about today. So if you bullied any kids at your middle school dance, make up with them, because today we will be talking about Valentine.
That's right, and we're so excited in Allison's place to have a special guest. I'm so excited. I love the everything about this person and the group that they're with. We put out some fillers ahead of time. We had to do this at short notice. Allison got sick on us, and in theory she should be a lot better by the time you guys are listening to this. But we are so happy to have Merrilee, one of the masterminds behind Fear Coded, a queer horror podcast. The floor is yours, Merrilee. Tell everybody about yourself, what you do with Fear Coded, with Glitterjaw, anything else you want to tell the people listening at home.
Well,
Shameless plug away.
Yeah, I will be delighted to do that. First of all, thank you so much for that kind and lovely introduction. I really appreciate that. Like you said, my name is Merrilee. I am one of the 3 co-hosts for Fear Coded, and I do use she, they pronouns. Fear Coded is genuinely one of my favorite things I've ever done. It's a podcast where we take a single entry in the horror genre of any media type. We do movies, we do TV shows, video games, you name it, we can cover it. We've even done like a narrative horror podcast. Just the sky's the limit, and we take this single piece of media and we analyze it using a queer lens, and it's just so delightful. And thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm thrilled to get a chance to talk about this forgotten classic of the horror genre.
Yes.
We are so excited to have you.
Absolutely. Yes. It's and yeah, I don't want Merrilee to undersell herself or what Fear Coded is doing. It's really great. Just speaking as a heterosexual guy who just happens to, I'm friendly. I know the guys who kind of co-founded Glitterjaw, Derek and Doug, from my time in the Power Rangers fandom. That's how we got to know one another, and so I've got to follow along as they've really they and everybody have been part of building this thing.
Yeah,
and all the Glitterjaw shows are wonderful, and what you guys are doing is a lot of fun.
I could not be more thrilled to be a part of Glitterjaw, this amazing collective of just a bunch of queer podcasts who are all like huddling together and like lifting each other up. It's really lovely. Derek and Doug are so fantastic, and I actually got to know you basically through their work. Like, you've been on other like Glitterjaw shows, and I'm not like in the fandom space, but I do love Power Rangers, so I'm actually a huge fan of your book.
Nice.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's just I think horror is really fantastic for a lot of reasons, and like we talk about how horror is queer a lot of the time because that's kind of like our whole thing. But it's you don't have to be queer to enjoy horror, though it does help.
Oh yeah. It's not and it's one of the things too I like, because I think one thing, at least that I worry about, and maybe I don't know if you guys think about this over at Glitterjaw, but like I try to share your stuff, and because again I just think the shows, I mean all the shows are wonderful, but I think some people, at least from where I'm sitting, again the more typical I guess person or whatever, there's people out there that'll be put off like, oh, that's not for me, I'm not, but like there's it's good to expose yourself to different perspectives. Obviously, that's something I think that we're trying to do, even as like a more cis hetero situation in terms of a show. But I just think it's very approachable content still. It's not anything that's gonna you shouldn't be scared to engage with it, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I would say that we're for everybody, but that's simply not true because we swear so much. So maybe not for like little ears.
You're in good company.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
It's just we bring our own perspectives, and like I actually I handle a lot of the like upcoming guest stuff, and I was talking with somebody who was planning on being in the podcast. It didn't end up working out, but that was just because like scheduling got weird. This very lovely person who was like, I mean, are you sure you want me on the podcast? I'm like a straight guy. I don't know that like this is the place for me. And we were like, no, we want you because of your personality and perspective, and you bring all of that. You wouldn't be the first straight person on Fear Coded. You will not be the last. So like I truly, if you're worried that like we're not gonna want you there, don't. The only people that we don't want on Fear Coded are transphobes and Ronald Reagan. And unfortunately, his ghost keeps popping up everywhere.
Ronald Reagan, that's interesting. That's great.
We're pretty anti-capitalist, and he just keeps fucking everything up. It's just such a bummer.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it sure is. The last thing I want to say, I love what you do with Fear Coded. It's not just limited to movies. I mean, I think it's movies and TV are kind of the natural places you go.
It's so easy to do movies.
I love one of my favorite episodes though is one of my favorite games, and it's even you guys talk about it. A lot of people talk about this with this game. It's hard to, it's hard to call it a game, but it is a game. It's Gone Home. Like that's like a beautiful game, and something that I love. When you guys put that episode out, I was like, oh, it's so great. Like it's such a good choice. And you mentioned also a narrative podcast series. I've not listened to that episode, but are you referencing the Old Gods of Appalachia?
That's right. That is the one that we did. Yeah.
That's you guys doing that is how I learned about that. So I've never listened to that show, and I've not listened to your podcast about it yet, but it's in my feed of things to listen to, and I'm excited to check it out and I'm also just excited to get exposed to that because it's I'm from Eastern Kentucky originally, so I'm sure there's a lot of things I would pick up and recognize from that.
Gone Home is one of our earlier episodes, and I honestly, that's one of the episodes that I think about as like one of our first really great ones. And I love that episode. I will go to bat to that episode every day of the week. It's so special. And Old Gods is so fun because it was my suggestion to do that podcast because I am a huge fan. I think that it's a really beautiful, and we did a couple of the first episodes because I thought that would be kind of approachable. David and Tyler weren't in love with the show, but they were really interested in it. And I genuinely think that it's something that you should just check out. It is an anthology, so like you can drop in, but they have like different arcs and they will tell you like what part of what arc it is. So like if you don't like this thing, you can check out a different one and you should be able to follow the story.
Dope. Yeah, I'll have to check that out for sure.
All right, so let's get to it. Now our listeners might be kind of looking at their feed this week and being like, "Yo, what's going on? 3 episodes?" But it's kind of just the way things worked out, right? So we decided we were going to do Hannibal, which is a movie that I drafted. Had that discussion. Great. Can't wait for you guys to listen to that. If you haven't listened to that, go ahead and check that out as well. And we felt like, well, Ridley Scott released Black Hawk Down the same year as Hannibal. So we got to do a podcast about Black Hawk Down and discuss the similarities and differences and what that's like to have 2 films by such a prestigious director and their big name movies that still have effect 25 years later. Like we have to have that conversation. Even though Black Hawk Down wasn't drafted, it needs to be talked about, right? Especially in the year 2001. So we have those 2 episodes. But alas, it's also Valentine's week. So doing the draft, I had a really hard time not picking Valentine as my IMDb's worst. So Merrilee, one of our categories is movies that rank 4.9 or lower in stars on IMDb. Valentine falls in that list. And I really honestly wanted to take it, was going to take it, but I knew in the back of my mind, it's like perfect for a bonus episode for Valentine's week. So I took Ghost of Mars instead because I love John Carpenter, and because if I didn't take Ghost of Mars, we would never talk about it, and it needs to be talked about as well. So
totally valid. I understand your choices completely.
yeah. So here we are, and so you're getting 3 episodes this week. Sit back, enjoy the ride, buckle up, and let's
Don't get used to it.
I think I can speak
Josh's
for
head
your
is spinning.
listeners here. They're going to be thrilled. So more podcasts equals good.
Yeah, absolutely. Just spend a little bit more time with us. So normally our podcasts, typically, they start off with a question, and these bonus episodes are designed to be a little bit more free-flowing and just kind of loose, flying by the seat of our pants. But for this episode, I feel like the question has to be asked, right? So here it is. What is the worst date you guys have ever been on?
This is maybe a little bit disappointing. I'm Arrow Ace, so for a lot of the time, dates have always been kind of frustrating, especially before I realized this about myself, because of like, isn't there supposed to be some sort of connection here? And there just never was anything. So the absolute worst date I was ever on was with a friend of mine. This was a guy who was in like he was in my social circle. He was like, we were kind of friends. I knew him for a couple of years. He was a nice guy. A friend of mine gave me a heads up that, hey, this guy has a crush on you and he wants to ask you out. And I was like, oh no, if he asks me out, we can't be friends anymore. This is it. So I avoided this guy for 2 weeks, and he cornered me in a study room and was like, hey, I really like you. Can we go out? I was like, I really don't think of you like that. Can we? And he was like, what if we just did one date? We could take one date and just see how we feel. Anyway, I got Red Robin, and I think I got food poisoning.
Man.
And I'm no longer friends with that person. So
You faked being sick. Don't lie.
No, I maybe it was just nerves or something. Anyway, it was bad all around, and I that relationship was just ruined. I couldn't be friends with him anymore because I didn't like him, and he had a crush on me. It was a nightmare.
Okay, so my worst date, it's kind of lame too. But I didn't. Well, I guess it's not our worst first date, but just worst date in general. So mine, it was a Bumble thing. I don't know if Bumble's still around. It probably is. The app where at least at that time you like could message like women had.
Yeah, like you can like them, but the girl has to reach out to you first.
That's what it was. Yeah, the women had to initiate. And so it was one of those situations. And this person, it was lived near like here in Kentucky where I live, and we met up at this sandwich shop in town, and I don't remember if this was in her profile or if she'd mentioned this at all, but she was I don't know, are you familiar with horse girls, Merrilee?
Yes, no, I'm familiar.
She is a horse girl, and it was just my first time. Was familiar with these people, but it's my first time being in a situation like any sort of romantic type situation with somebody, and it was just really awkward. And again, I'm a very I got a lot of weird niche interests, and I'm super geeky, and at that time I probably wasn't as equipped as a person to handle even the conversation as I would be now if I was presented with that situation. But it was just really awkward. Like, she basically spent the entire lunch talking about Breyer horses, which are those like plastic model horses, and there just happened to be a convention that was happening that week at the end of the week that she was really excited about. So that was cool. I mean, I got to hear her go on about this thing that she was really excited about, but that I had no interest in, and I knew about 5 minutes into my lunch that I had no interest in ever engaging in this conversation with this person ever again. So it was kind of weird and awkward, but the lunch was fine. Expensive, because that's like, this place is also very expensive, and I actually don't even know that it's here anymore. So it was just an awkward online, date. Nothing too crazy.
Okay. All right. So I mean, I would assume this counts as a date. Josh, I think you kind of know this story already. In college on New Year's, was with my girlfriend at the time. And typical New Year's night, 21 years old, whatever. We're at a friend's house drinking and having a good time. The ball drops. My girlfriend and I kiss, and the night's great, right? About 10 minutes later, she's ready to leave and wants to go to another party. Cool, let's do that. So we are leaving the Newtown Apartments, if you know where that is, Merrilee, and we're on the second floor, and so we're walking down the steps.
Yeah, Merrilee's really familiar with the apartment complexes of Lexington.
Yeah, listen, I've got them. I've got a map of Lexington up. I've got the exact.
Oh, is Merrilee not from Lexington? No, shit. I'm sorry. Okay, well, I don't. All right. Well, for my Lexington listeners, you know what it is. It's an apartment complex that had a Gold Star chili in the parking lot. Okay, so
Thrilled.
Yeah.
Would all
That's all
apartment
you need to
complexes
know.
have a restaurant in the parking lot? The dream.
Yeah, that's all you need to know. So all right, I guess I'll paint the scene a little bit better.
You're
The
fine, don't worry
steps,
about it.
the steps are
I
like
know everything I need to know.
yeah, the steps are like steel steps. We're walking down them to the parking lot. There's a big curb that leads to the parking lot. And my girlfriend's wearing heels, of course, and her feet hurt. So she has this great idea. Hey, Slade, I know you've drank a fifth of Jaeger, but how about you carry me down the steps because my feet hurt? Why, yes, dear, darling, of course I will. So she decides to piggyback on the back of my shoulders. And so we're making it down the steps, no problem. My balance is great. I'm coordinated. I'm an athlete. I got this. And I still contend it's her fault. She decides to adjust herself. So she she adjusts and like leans forward, which causes me to lean forward. So I lean forward and then I'm like, oh shit. And then I lean back and I'm like, oh shit. And then she goes forward and I go forward and I take about 2 or 3 steps, stumble, fall on my face. She flies over my shoulders, off the curb, into the concrete parking lot and busts her front 2 teeth out. Yeah, so I'm like, oh shit. I turn around and look at her and she's face down and I'm like, oh my god, are you okay? She rolls over, blood on her face, and her front 2 teeth are shattered. They are broken in half and she's crying, and now we spent the rest of New Year's Eve in the emergency room. And then of course police come in and ask if I beat her, all of that fun stuff. So that has to be the worst date ever. I felt like the worst boyfriend ever. And obviously I'm not still with her, but she stayed with me for about like 4 or 5 months after that, probably because she felt so bad about how bad I felt. But regardless, that is one of the many reasons why I don't go out on New Year's anymore, because I had like 5 years in a row of just god awful luck. So yeah.
That's awful. I think you win.
Lose something.
I knew when you had this in here as the question that this was going to be the story, and it's.
I mean, it has to be, right? Like, the funny thing is, I'd probably have to ask her, but she still has a picture of her with her thumb up, smiling, and her teeth.
Oh yes, yes. If you can get her permission to use that picture, that would be incredible to include.
I will ask her, but I don't know how well it'll go over. It's
good stuff. I mean, it's awful, but it's good stuff. It's good content.
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason why we asked this question, of course, is because we, once again, are talking about the 2001 horror slasher hidden gem, if you will, starring David Boreanaz. How do you say his name? Is it Boreanaz? Boreanaz? I've never been able to pronounce it.
That's a good question.
Angel.
Stephanie.
It's Angel.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm about to say Stephanie would know. My wife would know.
David B. and Denise Richards and plenty other people that you might recognize from other films or shows. Valentine. So, like I said, I was super excited to get into this movie. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. What did you think about the film? What did you like, dislike about it? And let's just have an open conversation about the movie as a whole. Spoilers be damned at this point.
Can I just cosplay the rest of this conversation as Allison? I can just read from the notes she sent us, and then we can.
You want to use those as like our?
You have to use your own opinions first. Come on, be honest. It's okay if you didn't like it.
No, I love it. This was actually, it's funny. I was looking back through my notes. So when we embarked on doing this kind of spawned from a few different places this podcast, but a lot of it was just me having never watched a lot of movies from this year, even though it was such a formative year in, my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of look at the year, I was 10 for most of this year, and that was a year I kind of picked up on while I was writing my book as like, that was the year I started really remembering and thinking about media a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just kind of gravitated to this year. Valentine, so I started taking notes on things when I would watch them. Valentine was the first movie that I'd watched for this project. It was the first, I just looked back. It was the first one. So that was kind of my connection to it. So I have a little bit of a soft spot for it because it was sort of I guess, kind of the origin story of this podcast in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. It's I think because Allison is not here to defend herself, but she hated this movie. I think she's pretty clear in that and would happily be saying that if she were here. I think if you come into it expecting it to be an incredible horror reinvention or this atypical slasher movie that kind of turns everything on its head, you're going to be in for a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it is quite a ride, though, if you're into just a kind of traditional slasher that doesn't, I don't want to say doesn't take itself too seriously, because I think it kind of,
Mm-hmm.
there's ways in which it does, but it kind of just goes straight through and stays on the rails in terms of what it's trying to achieve by the end. And I think it's fun and it's fast and the characters. Well, the one thing I like about this movie
Mm-hmm.
that you don't get even a lot of times in a lot of modern, at least things that I've seen, modern slasher / horror, you have I'm not going to say like they're fully formed, like fleshed out characters, but it is the entire core cast is women
Mm-hmm.
that are actually people. Like they do have, like they all have something to them that is far beyond like, oh, I'm a pretty sexy lady, here to die. So, and it's, I mean, like, David Boreanaz is the, spoiler, the killer, but he is this, he's more of an accessory in the movie than he is like a core character. It really is about these women that
Mm-hmm.
are, Mary or Marley Shelton kind of being the final girl, the I don't, is her Lisa, is that her name in the movie? Am I remembering that right? Lisa?
I think so.
No,
I think that
Kate.
she's Lisa.
Kate.
I called her by the actress's name.
Yeah, Lisa. I think Lisa's a character. Yeah, I tend to go that way too, Merrilee. Like it's just easier for me to remember the actress's name.
No, Paige. I'm sorry. Shit. No, wait. No, yeah. Paige is Denise Richards.
Paige
Kate
is
is
the sexy
Shelley.
one.
Yeah,
Paige is the sexy one. I think
It's
Lisa
Kate. Marley
is
Shelton is
Katherine
Kate.
Heigl.
Yes.
That's right. She's the one.
Awesome
she's the
appearance by her.
Yeah.
Well, and she's the thing that I'd written down in my notes about Heigl back the first time I watched it. She's recognizable, but she's very much pre-Grey's Anatomy and has she does look a lot different than she looks in how she would kind of start to look and as she became a star in the 2010s and with Grey's and everything. And really,
This was her pre-blonde.
yes, and this might sound offensive, but also like she had some baby fat going, a little bit of like her cheeks. It kind of a
She looked like a
cherubic
normal
kind of
human instead of a supermodel. Is what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
this was like the first time you kind of see her probably since Wish Upon a Star, like that I can think of.
With that.
You're not from? Oh wow, it's a Disney Channel original movie with her and Danielle Harris of Halloween 4 and 5 fame, where they basically like wish upon a star to. I think they essentially switch each other's lives and.
Oh, it's a Princess Carver. Got it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was kind of what I knew her from. And then the next time that I remember seeing her was in this film as that character. Shelley is her name, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about like this movie in itself for me is 2001 is a weird year for horror. There's not really a lot of slashers. Like, when you're talking about horror in 2001, we're talking about movies such as like Joyride. We're talking about Jeepers Creepers, which is very much a horror movie, but it's still not a slasher. It's like a creature film, right? You've got From Hell, which is more of a thriller.
Creature film, kind of a slasher. Like it's kind of on the edge.
Fair. It's a good blended mix. But as far as like a traditional like masked serial killer, like traditional slasher, that you don't have a whole lot of that in 2001. And this movie, I thought, did a really good job of, like, Josh, like you were saying, where it doesn't take itself too seriously, but seriously enough. This film, for me, why I think, well, at least why I love it and why I think maybe all three of us like it a lot, is because it's the essence of what most slasher horror movies is about, is let's have fun and enjoy it and try to scare the shit out of you, but let's do some cool effects, have some fun kills, put a decent enough story together. And I think that they actually do a really good job with, the plot of this movie, regardless of what Allison says. She thinks the plot's pretty loose, but as far as like horror movies go, it's got some real juice to it. I mean, as far as like they bully the kid and all these years back, he comes back.
It's very prom night. The first
yeah,
one.
yes. Yeah, very much prom night. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
Yes, I really like this movie. I think it's an interesting film, frankly, because again, this was made and released in 2001. So this is a post-Scream world. And yet in a lot of ways, it's kind of a pre-Scream slasher because it's not very meta, which I think is really, I appreciate that. It's a little bit more simplistic, but at the same time, it does have a kind of complicated villain arc, right? Because you know who the bad guy is the whole time, but you don't know which of the men around them is the bad guy. So you still have that very fun whodunit flavor. Like, this is my secret conspiracy theory. This is my pet project. I think that to a lot of horror movies, the secret sauce is that they're actually secretly a mystery. And like, that's why a lot of slashers don't really work past the first one, because they have to become like a supernatural slasher because the killer has to come back and be the same person, right? And then by then you know who the killer is, and so you have to deal with all that stuff. So you lose that secret sauce of mystery.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you though. Based off of that logic of thinking, how did Black Phone 2 feel for you? Did you like it or dislike it?
I haven't seen Black Phone 2 yet. I
okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. I was curious about that.
I really listen. I feel bad. I feel like I should turn in my horror card. I've had a very busy year.
It's okay.
But like, I loved the first Black Phone. I thought it was really fun, and part of the reason why you that's the thing that does make Black Phone interesting. Sorry to talk about a non-2001 movie here.
No, it's okay. I brought it up.
You're good. You're good.
But like, part of the reason why Black Phone is interesting is, and in this like mystery thing, is that you know who the killer is. The whole time, so you wouldn't think it would work like that. The mystery is if Finn is going to be alive, if he's gonna get rescued, how that's gonna work, and so like that's where the mystery is there, right?
Fair.
But Black Phone is a different kind of slasher anyway, so it's
yeah,
absolutely.
Well, and going off what you said there, I think that's a really good observation about the mystery aspects. I also think it works even if you're someone who picks up pretty early. Like if you pick up and you just kind of pinpoint Boreanaz's character as the guy behind the mask. I still think there's enough here to lead you astray to
there are a couple really good red herrings. Like I think that this movie is a little underbaked.
It had 4 riders, if that has any bearing on that opinion.
Yeah, it's not the best written work in the world, but there are like a decent, like a scattershot of like good red herrings throughout. Like there are a lot of men that the killer could be, so it doesn't have to be the very obviously most famous one. And I do think that the red herring at the end could have worked.
Yeah.
A little, but it just isn't doesn't quite like you know that that's not really who the killer
Mm-hmm.
is. But it could have worked really well. Unfortunately, I feel like they ran out of funding at the last minute, but it's fine. Listen, it's a fun little film. It's fine.
I do want to discuss what they pull at the end. If we just want to
Okay.
skip right to that.
Yeah, sure.
Or we can work ourselves.
Let's
up
hold
to
on.
it.
Let's work our way there for a little bit. Because one of the things I do want to talk about is the cast of characters.
Mhm.
We've talked about the group, like the core group, the girls. You really kind of get a good sense of who they are before you even meet their adult characters, or you meet them as the kids. Obviously, Paige is
Those
completely
kid
ruthless.
actresses are pretty awesome in terms of like
Yeah.
how they like look alike.
The girl that looks like Denise Richards like looks dead up like her. It's crazy.
I'm so sorry. Is Denise Richards? She's Dorothy because I
Paige.
only called her Arizona. So
Paige.
I was the same way when I saw this movie because I watched during COVID, like the heat of the pandemic. I watched like the first 18 seasons of Grey's Anatomy, and Arizona. It's
Oh, so Dorothy's in Grey's Anatomy as well?
yes,
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
Arizona.
I've never seen an episode of Grey's Anatomy.
she's
so-
a very actually prominent character by the time she shows up and gets in the thick of stuff.
Well, that would explain why I didn't see her in any other movies, which is crazy because I thought
Yeah.
Dorothy was actually pretty good in this movie.
Yeah, she's great, and the little her actually like a really good resemblance.
I see. I thought the younger Dorothy does a really good resemblance, but to me, the girl that plays Paige, like that looks dead up like Denise Richards to me.
It does almost look
That
like they
was-
just took Denise Richards, this was like obviously pre ChatGPT and all this shit, but it's like they aged her down with a AI machine
Yeah.
and just pasted her face in there. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, but you get a good idea of like what these women are like. Kate is the only one that doesn't necessarily turn him down. She's nice enough to say maybe later. And the whole thing happens with Dorothy where they get caught under the bleachers and she panics and says, oh, Jeremy attacked me. And so the bullies, beat the crap out of him and he, gets shipped off to reform school and then into the mental hospital and all of those things. But, past that, even the other characters that we come across, like Detective Vaughn, there's not a single Scary Gary. There's not a single guy in this movie that is worth a shit. They all suck. Every one of them.
It is a movie about dating, so I do feel like
Yeah.
from a women's perspective, that's pretty accurate.
Well, that's
Every
why I
guy
think
that they
a lot
come
about-
across, even dating, suck. Like, they're all bad.
That's why I was like, I think if you approach this movie a certain way, I can see why you wouldn't care for it. But that's why I think it actually really is like, it should be like rediscovered and be this thing that people kind of hold up as something that's more worth having a conversation like this, because you nailed it. It is a movie about dating,
Yeah.
all the guys are just
Awful.
fucking
My
shit.
Max, Campbell,
My
they all
one
suck.
complaint is I think that the detective should have been younger. Like I understand that the idea is that he's supposed to be like a creep, and like a much older man hitting on this girl. Which sure, fine. I think that he also could have made a really good red herring. So I would have liked him to be a little bit more of the same age with everybody else. Because
I
he
agree
would
with
have
that.
been like my final red herring personally. I like where they ended up. I think that having Arizona, sorry, spoilers, but having Arizona be like the who they think it is really works, especially with like the whole Jeremy Melton of it all. Like she framed him for attack, so he's framing her. I think that
Yeah,
delicious.
it's beautiful.
But
Well, and she's the only woman that really doesn't have an encounter other than a card. Like, you never see Dorothy in an area of distress where it's like, oh shit, is she about to get killed?
yeah,
you know?
I mean, you don't see that with Paige either. But like
until she's
Well, okay, that's fair. Yeah.
offed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or with Kate. Yes, that's the one. I have
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have the
but
Wikipedia
see-
page open so I can
Yeah.
tell
Well,
which
see-
actress is which character.
Well, we know it's not Kate because Kate's the final girl, right? We
Yeah, so
know
don't
that.
really
That's
see her
established. So,
in the same area as
but
the
even then,
original
he's in
Arizona.
her apartment and leaves her the cherub mask.
Is he though? We see the sheriff mask in the thing, but we never see the person. So
No, but the door opens when she leaves the room, so he's in there. Then he goes back in there and catches Scary Gary putting on the underwear. Which my favorite part of the whole movie is when he's like, "Hold on, take it easy, brother. It's not what it seems like." And then he goes, "I am not well." it's so good.
yeah.
You just tell him, "I'm not well. All right, just leave me alone."
It's one of those deliveries, like, it feels like that scene in particular feels like it's from a movie from like 20 years later. Like it's if that's like that's like the only self-awareness that the movie has is, I think, Scary Gary, and
My sister and I used to do that all the time with each other. We'd be like, "Oh, you could be my date, Kate. You know, don't show up late, Kate. You know, dinner's at 8, Kate." Just like making stupid shit just to make each other feel uncomfortable.
You're scary, Gary.
Yeah, it's great. But I want to go to the costume design too. Like, this mask is, I think, pretty well done. A lot of times when you see slashers with masks, like once you get past like Halloween and Friday the 13th, like all the newer ones typically kind of suck and they look cheesy and bad, or they don't really, like, you know, Thanksgiving, for instance, like that mask is ridiculous and absurd, and that movie's designed to be that way. But I think the Cupid mask with the little, especially as the noseblood like comes down, is a nice touch. I actually find it to be a pretty good costume design for the killer, where it's subtle but also kind of creepy, but like not to the point where it's like they're trying too hard either.
I could take or leave the Cupid. I'm not in love with it. I think it's serviceable. It's a little goofy, and I do think like the idea that like him having nosebleeds is like the red herring finder thing is a little silly. But like, far be it from me to scoff at things being a little silly. So.
But it's horror. It's supposed to be. Like, it's supposed to be, you know?
You gotta either turn up the camp dial or turn it down. Like, this is a half measure.
Fair. That's fair. A little bit about Allison's notes, then we'll go into that while we're on the negative part of it. Her first note, probably the most positive note, is this movie is short. Thank God.
I'll say it is the perfect
quick burn.
movie. Like, this is just over an hour and a half. Like, we love that.
Yep.
She says the kills are decent, which I do want to get into what your all's favorite kill is. But the next thing she says is, "I'm impressed with this level of greeting card making talent." The greeting cards are awesome. Like, it's a really nice touch in this movie.
I wish that the signed by JM was like a little better, because it was like on the back of the card. Who does that? No.
Well, the funny thing is
weirdo who couldn't ever get a date.
If you pay attention in Katherine Heigl's, it just has a J on it. It does not have an M. The rest of them have JM, but hers just has a J with a heart.
That was probably just a remnant of script 3 before they got around to the second or the 4th rewrite.
But this is what tells you how much of a sicko I am when it comes to horror movies. I was telling Josh earlier, you know, Adam, David Boreanaz's character works at the newspaper, right? And obviously he's the killer. And I put it together today that, holy shit, if he works at the newspaper, obviously like these cards are homemade, right? Either maybe he's part of the cartoonist stuff, or maybe he like hired the cartoonist to make these cards for him as a gag, like that the cartoonist wasn't aware of it. I'm just digging deep into like where these cards were made, and I just was I don't know, it's a fun twist.
Yeah, no, you know, he was at the reform school and then in mental hospital. I bet he went a lot of arts and crafts time.
What's your favorite card?
I really like the one with the pull-up element. So the one that Arizona gets, where it's gonna be they'll need your dental X-rays to identify you.
Identify
I thought
you.
that one was really good.
I really like the bleed from your neck one, because like as it comes down, like the dress comes down and the neck's bleeding. I thought that one was really cool. That's the one that Katherine Heigl gets. Although I think the most shocking one is the "you are what you eat" with the maggots and the chocolate.
Which is
very
just
nasty.
like, I think that's the nastiest thing in this movie, and but it's also like the most, oddly, I think, one of the more relatable awful things that can, because like that can just happen when you bite into food. Like, it could just randomly happen.
Don't say that. What an awful intrusive thought to like give people.
This movie did for Box of Chocolates what Psycho did for bathtubs and showers. All right, maybe not. Maybe not.
I love where your head's at. Please don't compare this to Psycho. What a bad thing to do to Valentine.
Okay, fair. Right, this movie has a shower scene too, which is honestly probably one of my favorite kills. I really like
that shower scene. Got it.
Yeah, so obviously, you've got the shower scene where her water goes out.
Fake out.
But the kill with the rich
sticks
girl.
her head in the toilet. I would simply go
grab a cup from the top of the toilet. Or just grab a cup from the top of the water lid.
In the tank, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would simply rather have shampoo in my hair. I would never.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But let's get into some of the kills. Like I said, I do like the shower scene kill, but what is your all's favorite kill sequence? Because you've got Lily's, which is really unique as well, where she gets trapped in the love maze and gets hit with Cupid's arrows and then falls into the dumpster and disappears.
One's my favorite.
Yeah.
Because it's the most over the top. Like
I Cupid killed someone with a bow and arrow. I'm a very easy person to please. I think that, frankly, more people should be shot with arrows if you have your killer wearing a Cupid mask.
It's the scene that you think, like, because this movie's based off a book, and I've not read much about the book. I've obviously not read the book. But so I hope that if that scene's not in the book, it was like that. Like I think if you just say a Cupid killer is going around, like, this is just like, that's the scene you're imagining in your head. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
And it pays off. Now, one of the things that Allison mentions that I think is pertinent at that scene, for this movie's rated R, and there's not a lot of blood. There's not even a lot of really, like, cursing.
I think they were going for PG-13 to have more people, like, see it.
Yeah, but you ended up with R because of the nudity in that sequence in the love maze. There's topless women in the background.
That's what we kind of pinned down, is like, that had to be why it's rated R, which is kind of crazy. Like, if
I would simply just change what's on the screens.
Yeah.
Because
it's art too. It's like it's not. You could have had had implied nudity. You could have had just abs and like
bikinis,
legs and bikini. Like, it wouldn't have been hard.
Yeah, it was an odd choice to do that, especially because, like, at the end of the movie, you had this whole big sequence with Dorothy and Kate, where Dorothy finally snaps and is like, "You guys have always thought of me as less than you, blah, 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 blah." And she kind of, like, gives Kate the business, and she says, "You know what? Screw all of you." And it's like, drop a fuck, you know?
Yeah, come on. What are we doing here?
Here's your big moment. It's rated R. Say fuck you all. Like,
yeah,
you know?
For real. No, I will say, I did think that scene was both wildly and deeply realistic, because you do assign yourself a label at a certain point. So I definitely could see, like, Arizona mentally being like, I'm the fat friend, but that's completely ridiculous. I guarantee everybody else thought of her as the rich friend and not the fat friend. I guarantee.
And she was good looking. I'm not gonna lie. Dorothy did her thing.
She's
man.
gorgeous, but like, when what you tell yourself about who you are in middle school does stick with you. And again, she was a normal human, so I guess in 2001 that meant she was fat.
Right.
Fair. One of the other fun things I find about this is watching it, like, once you realize that Detective Vaughn has the hots for Denise Richards or Paige in this film, when you watch it the second time, you notice so many little things. Like, when they're at the funeral, the only person he gives his phone number card to is Paige, and so many different, like, just eye looks between the two of them. It's absurd how, like, just outright he is about, like, just being a horn dog.
Well, that was that allows us to bring up Allison's last positive note on this film. Denise Richards is hot? ?
She's a smoke show in this movie. My God,
she's fantastic. Water is wet. I'm glad that we've all, like, established facts here.
Turns out we all have eyes.
Yeah. Well, she said it doesn't matter to her, but she knew that I would want her to put that in her notes. So thank you for that, Allison. I appreciate it. Her kill scene, though, I'm surprised that wasn't your all's favorite. I really thought that's the most terrifying sequence.
One, like, it
was really silly, affectionate, silly. I liked it silly, but as soon as he trapped her in there and like closed the top and like there was like a couple inches in between like her face
Yeah.
and like the top of the thing, I was like, oh, what are we doing here? She's not gonna drown, she's just fine, she could wait. And then he starts going to stab her with the drill.
With the
It's like,
drill?
oh,
Yeah,
we're
that's
just in silly
terrifying.
town now, baby.
That is legitimately terrifying. You've got nowhere to go, and he's just drilling away.
Sure. I did like him just being like, this is taking too long.
Yeah, he's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna
You know?
throw it in here. Like, finally, I got you, ha ha ha, now you're dead. Like, I'm not gonna spend any more time with this. I'm just gonna open this up and throw it in. But I thought that kill sequence was actually probably the most, like, as a moviegoer sitting in the, the theater, the sequence where you're like holding on to your seat, like, oh shit, like she's in for it now. That and the opening sequence with Katherine Heigl where, the cadaver.
Loved the opening. That was my second favorite.
I do think the whole movie I think is underrated. I would say the opener on this is you brought up Scream earlier, Merrilee. It's very different from how it's executed, but it's kind of pulling some of those same strings in terms of
especially
the
because it's like the
misdirection.
biggest star who gets killed first.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, because it's the same. I immediately thought of Drew Barrymore every time. Like I watched that. Like,
I gotta ask you guys, do you think that Scream coming out before this film hurt this film because the end of the film is, oh, it's the boyfriend? And like people are like, it was the boyfriend in Scream. Like I know for me, when I watched it the first time, I guessed that it was Adam as well, and maybe it was because like of Scream subconsciously. But I had my reasons, right?
I think that you knew it was him because he's the biggest star and he's got the most screen time.
But see, I didn't know him from that. Like this was the first thing I had seen him in. I was probably 11 when I watched this movie.
Oh, you were 11 and you didn't watch Buffy?
No, I did not watch Buffy. I was not a Buffy fan. I don't know why, it just wasn't my thing.
Slate this is a good time for us to get into Slate's anti WB CW stances.
Hateful.
He
very, very.
No,
95% of those shows are terrible.
Okay, well, I was gonna be on your team, but I'm simply not on your team anymore.
So no, I mean, like, that's one of my knocks on how I feel about the James Gunn DC universe, is that it feels more like a CW show than it does a movie, and I'm just not a fan of it.
We can all have our opinions, and I love that for
you. Thanks, Merrilee. I appreciate you telling me that you hate my opinion, but that's okay.
I just because I don't agree doesn't mean that you are you're well entitled to your opinion. I love that you're brave, and I love it.
Fair.
I think that this movie wouldn't exist without Scream, honestly. Like, again, this came out in 2001.
I think that's a good call.
Yeah, and so like we are well in the post Scream shadow. People are looking for like the next big slasher franchise still, and they're trying to work it out. This is like past I Know What You Did Last Summer, even. I think
sure. So I gotta propose this question then. It's a $30 million budget.
Mm-hmm.
It did roughly like 37 million. It practically broke even, which most people in Hollywood would call basically a loss. There's not a whole lot of slashers in 2001. This film is the perfect like Valentine's weekend. Let's go get scared, take a date, and everything else. So why did this movie not succeed? Why do you guys think it just didn't?
What else was in the box office that weekend?
So it came out February 2nd. I know that.
Honestly, I think that maybe second is a little too early, but I do think that it's better to release like one weekend ahead of the holiday. That way, if it's good, you get some buzz going, and then you have a really strong second weekend.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, it had a strong first weekend. It did 10 mil in its first weekend, so it did basically essentially a third of what it was going to do. It feels like it never really got the traction for.
I think that
word of
again.
mouth.
To be a Valentine's horror movie and release at the beginning of the month, there's no way it's still gonna be in theaters by the 28th. Like by
16th. It's 2 weeks ahead of time.
Yeah. 2 weeks is too long. 1 week is perfect.
So I can't. So one thing that's weird. I don't know if you ever encountered this, Merrilee. When you're recording Fear Coded, Box Office Mojo has like done something in the last year or so where they've just jacked up a lot of their stuff. So I'm not even seeing Valentine listed among movies that came out around that time.
No.
Which is not great, but some other films that were encroaching on the kind of the leaders of the box office. So Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon had come out.
Okay, well, that's a phenomenon.
Yeah, that's sort of like
Yeah.
carrying a lot of weight for a lot of places. A little movie we talked about called Hannibal was also about to drop and kind of kind of
That's
killed
a Valentine's Day movie.
yeah, and then
It is a love story.
The Wedding Planner was like the rom-com that was kind of doing things there. So
And you had Save the Last Dance as well.
Save Last Dance was still hanging around. Yeah, it was like the first. That was actually the first big, like the first. It's one of those movies that we may end up doing a bonus episode on at some point because it was kind of like the first big movie that was actually released in 2001. Crouching Tiger was a carryover from 2000, but it was still doing really, really good stuff there. So yeah, and I do think it's. What's weird to me about this one in particular, though, is I'm surprised that it didn't at least get one like direct-to-video sequel, at least, because that was such a big thing then, like DVD, the DVD mark. I bet this did all right on DVD. Like I'm sure it did enough to get back, the money for it's a Warner Brothers movie, I believe. So like primarily, so they I'm sure made their budget back with
Bet
DVD.
you they couldn't get like the remaining actress. I bet she was too busy. And you can't redo a slasher, especially with this format, without the leading lady.
Well, and you still got to have Boreanaz in it too, right? And at this point, he's probably taking off with Angel and
Yeah, he's too busy.
Buffy.
They were too busy.
Well, that was the thing. So just from what the wiki, based on what's in the Wikipedia file for this movie, so he's the biggest star in this film, and then Heigl's, 1B, maybe one. I guess. I think she ends up being way bigger than he was actually, probably. But she shot her scene in 3 days, and Boreanaz shot his in less than 2 weeks, according to what's reported in the Wikipedia stuff. So we're talking primarily one of those two people is still alive at the end of the movie and would need to be in the second movie for it to get made. You brought up Marley Shelton, Merrilee. I really like her. I just like when I look at her now, this is gonna sound bad. She at the time looked like kind of like knockoff Anna Faris, and
Okay.
which to me is a plus because I think I like Anna Faris, so it's like that. But I think it's easy to confuse the two for the. I think you could.
Yeah, I definitely did think she was Anna Faris, I think, for the first 30 minutes of the movie. But then I realized, no, that's Judy Hicks from the Scream films.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that because the girl that plays Lily, Jessica Caulfield, I think she's like a knockoff Temu version of why am I drawing a blank on her right now? Brittany Murphy.
Yeah.
I can see that.
She reminds me so much of Brittany Murphy.
That's a good call. I can see that. And she's probably, I think she was
in Legally Blonde, so I know exactly who she is. Like, I know why you would think that, but like, she's my Legally Blonde bitch.
Fair.
And she's also, she's probably the least served character of the core group, unfortunately.
Yeah, she does have my favorite kill with the bow and arrow. But the problem is she's the first of the non-opening kills, so she doesn't get as much screen time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her whole thing, she gets like stood up, or not stood up. He's trying to rope her into a threesome.
Yeah, her artist, her bad artist boyfriend, who is a sleaze bag, it was like, he's like polyamory, I guess. And she's like,
he said,
hey,
yeah, but you knew that.
You can't do that. You can't just. You're either cheating on me, maybe. I don't.
Yeah. Well, let's examine her for a second, right? Because really, like the first time that we kind of meet her after the funeral, she's sitting with Paige in their apartment, and they are reviewing date tapes for men that they want to date. So she has a boyfriend named Max. Excuse me.
Sort of.
Yeah, she has a boyfriend named Max, sort of. And but she's also reviewing date tapes of men that she wants to go on these dates with. And then, of course, so then she gets the things and expects them to be from Max, and she's like kind of like madly in love with Max, even though it's a weird dynamic. Like when he gives her a kiss, she's like she melts right at the thing. Like I think she's in love.
It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. She's got the hots for an artist, right? He's an artist. But yeah, so like it's a weird dynamic with her, and then of course he invites his assistant to have the threesome, and she like loses her mind and is like, tells him like, get her out of here, you get out of here, like you're a sleazeball. And he goes, well, yeah, but you knew that. So like, it's
and
so
she
good.
did know that. She very clearly knew that.
Yeah, he's like,
reviewing the date tapes.
Right? Yeah, he's like, I'm showing you who I am. This is kind of what you knew what to expect, so I thought you were cool with it.
I mean, she was about to have sex with him in public in his art exhibit, so like
that was the final piece of the ensemble.
Yeah,
he had to put himself into the work.
Can we talk about Jason, please?
Mm-hmm.
He is absurd. They're like men could not really exist like that, right?
Oh, I don't know, man. Have you met us?
I'm so sorry to inform you that is
so brutal. He is the absolute worst, weirdest, most embarrassing man ever on film. He's a disgrace.
Merrilee doesn't discount the fact that sometimes men do weird things like speak in the third person for no reason.
Yeah.
But Merrilee does concede that is not typical first date behavior.
I love that you're doing it in third person. That's so good.
Well, I do think what I think's interesting about him is he is so over the top, but it's still believable. But he's also like clearly not the killer, because I don't think someone who
he's too
conducts
stupid
themselves
to be the
this
killer.
way could be the killer. Yeah.
Yeah. No, like we all knew that wasn't really like he got very unlucky that he just so happened to have the right initials to be.
Why didn't he fucking get killed? Like, you could have done us all a favor and butchered him. That's not true. Gary dies. Campbell dies.
Oh yeah, Gary dies. That's right.
Detective Vaughn dies.
Probably.
Hey, no, he gets his head chopped off.
Oh, that's
right, like the big reveal. The phone's ringing, and there's the IOU, which is when
that's his head. That's right. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, it's Detective Vaughn's head.
I remembered there was.
You couldn't tell from the cheap prosthetic.
At that point, I was a little checked out.
Checked out? That's when the movie gets good, girl.
Listen, there are only so many body reveals that can happen in 5 minutes where I have to care about everybody.
That's fair. I'll give you that. So a couple more notes then. Allison's random aside, she has, how old are these people supposed to be? They're 24, 25. Some of them are closer to 30s, it seems like.
Yeah, but that's like it's a fair point, specifically because the house party reads like a high school house party.
Yeah. She does say that they feel like teenagers. And, okay, let's be real. They're sheltered, rich kids, so they're, kind of young and dumb.
Arizona is a sheltered, rich kid, if you can want to give that any of that. If you look at the apartments that the other two apartments we see, right? We've got Kate, who's living in a pretty bad apartment, but she's by herself, right? And like it doesn't seem like a great area. She's on the phone with the landlord. It seems pretty frequently about like water problems, right? And she's got that terrible neighbor. And then you have the other two girls who have an apartment together. It looks a lot nicer, but they do live together and they don't have their own
it's
place.
like a studio apartment, it feels like, where it's like probably like one big room or two.
I mean, yeah, but like they probably have like two very small bedrooms off of the larger main room. So like that is a shared apartment that seems decent, but not like it's not a penthouse or anything like that. So I do think that they all have like normal people money, as opposed to Arizona, who is living with her parents, who have like a guest house, a huge pool,
a mail order bride from hell.
Yeah, like they have live-in like staff that is there pretty regularly in uniforms. So
I think some of that vibe, it's just in terms of like that, sort of rich girl vibe or whatever that might come across, is I was listening to a little bit, like, so the Scream Factory Blu-ray for this movie is really good. If anybody's interested in wanting to pick it up, I got it. Just happened to catch it in a sale and so picked it up. There's a lot of cool special features, and one of them is two of the four riders. They are talking, probably the two, I guess, that by the end were the two that main ones. They were talking about Sex in the City and the influence of that. Was kind of coming on and getting and like, so that there was some influence of Sex in the City on this. Like, I think that helps in terms of like framing like how it sits in terms of the culture at the time.
I
it
could
makes
totally
sense.
see that.
And I've never even watched Sex in the City, but I can kind of see where that's coming from.
Yeah, it is viewed a lot through the women's eyes in this movie, so I can totally see that. You've got your there. If you were to watch any Sex in the City episodes, just one of them, you would see where it definitely could be an inspiration for how the women are portrayed in this movie and how dating is portrayed and everything else.
Honestly, I think that the dating aspect is the most Sex in the City thing for me.
Have you watched it, Merrilee?
No, I've seen maybe a couple episodes while I was like in the waiting room at a pedicure place, but not on purpose.
I've never watched it either. It's just one of those things that I just I didn't have interest in watching it, but
let me tell you, middle school me, when we didn't have cable, it was Fox, and it was either Seinfeld or Sex in the City were the only things on at night when I was trying to sleep. And I sleep with the TV on. So I caught plenty of episodes when I was younger. Okay. And I hated it, but I watched it.
You got to do what you got to do if you're a white noise.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other things that I want to get back to, Allison says, speaking of random, what is up with police dude, which would be Detective Vaughn, grossly hitting on Paige? That came out of nowhere and amounts to absolutely nothing.
Well, that's like
Rewatch
that's
it.
the most relatable or the most realistic, one of the more realistic things that happens in this movie.
Again, I wish my thing is I wish that he was a little bit younger because then he could be realistically in the running for red herring, either that or like a lot a bit older to really sell home that these like gross man doing gross men things.
Yeah, since we're still in the Grey's Anatomy's cast, let's just hire McDreamy.
Oh yeah, that would have been
stealing from Scream 3.
The age would have worked. Yeah, because I do think that's because I think he maybe exists there to like, oh, he could maybe be, but like there's no like when you start doing there's just no way that this
there's
guy
no way.
could be.
He's just there.
Yeah.
But I think that cops always make great slashers, like suspects. So
oh yeah. What are your all's thoughts on holiday themed horror movies? Like, do we like them? Do we dislike them?
Yeah,
okay, so where does this rank for you? And as far as like horror themed movies that are horror movies that are themed off of a specific holiday? I think you're absolutely insane if Halloween is not number one. But I digress. I just kind of want to see where you guys put this.
To Halloween. Honestly, I think my number one favorite holiday themed horror movie is Black Christmas.
No,
I like Black Christmas a lot too.
Black Christmas is fun,
but I mean Halloween is. I mean,
no, like John Carpenter is incredible. What he does in Halloween is like the standard for a reason, but a lot of what he is doing is just copying what Black Christmas did. So
yeah, Black Christmas doesn't get enough credit for being like the
no,
trailblazer.
It doesn't. And I'm such a fan of Olivia Hussey, who's like the main character there. I love her. She's so good, and I think Jess is an underrated slasher, like final girl. Also, just throwing it out there, Jaws is a 4th of July holiday movie, so that's also is one of the greatest movies of all time and one of my personal favorites. So I think
fair.
Jaws is another really good one to throw out there.
I will say this: the Black Christmas is great, but it's not even the best Christmas horror movie. You have Terrifier 3. Terrifier 3.
Good.
Terrifier 3 is amazing. I love that movie.
That you love that.
It is so good.
Love that.
This is Merrilee saying "screw you."
No, if you, I definitely could say "screw you," but I wouldn't say that to you.
You didn't like Terrifier 3?
I have seen Terrifier 2, and I am A-okay never watching another Terrifier for the rest of my life.
It's not for you, right?
No, I think that the movie is honestly detestable. I think that it's bad, and that I made me feel bad watching it. And not necessarily because of like the gore, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. I honestly didn't like, it's impressive that the guy did all of the effects himself. Sure, that's great. You know what would be really impressive? Writing a fucking movie that's good.
Well, all right.
I've never watched any of them, so
Here's what I'll say about them. They're not made for the plot. The plot is some of it is fun, and some of it can be, even I catch myself like, that makes no sense. Where is this coming from? But the reason why I love those movies, and why I think a lot of people that love horror movies love those movies, for me, it's not necessarily about the gore. Like, I'm not a gore porn fan, but I do have a lot of respect for somebody who takes such a low budget, does practical effects, and doesn't take it too seriously. He's going with, how over the top can we make this while making it look realistic, while making it fun? Like, I laugh more at those movies than anything,
fun.
because it
really
is fun. I
hateful
think
and
there's so much fun.
misogynistic. It's like
Okay.
grossly misogynistic and frankly racist. Just
Really?
it's not what feel good watching. I'll tell you that.
All right. I mean, that's fair. I've never, I mean, I don't know. I've never really looked at it definitely as seeing it as racist or misogynistic, but I try not to view horror movies through that lens, because if I do anyways, I feel like you're not going to enjoy the majority of them, I guess.
See, okay. This is a thing, right? Because like, a lot of horror can be very mean to women, and that's just like, that comes with the fact that, especially in like the wake of movies like Halloween, for example, like, you have this puritanical idea of like punishing people, specifically women, who act outside of the social norms, right?
Mhm.
And that is just terroir. It's like baked into a lot of things. The problem specifically with what Damien Leone is doing in Terrifier is that if you like listen to interviews with him and he's talking about the movie, he says that Art the Clown isn't a misogynist. He kills everybody equally. Except if you look at the film, that's simply not the case. All of the meanest, grossest things that he does are to women, and not only that, there's also inherently a sexual nature, like, aspect to the violence that happens to a lot of the women in it. Moreover, like, people will be like, nope, men got killed in Terrifier 2 as well. Basically they don't. There's the one kill from the beginning. Sorry, I know we're here to talk about Valentine.
No, it's okay.
The demon.
It's no, I love it. It's okay.
Yeah.
We could have this conversation on another thing, because I do have some counterpoints that I would disagree with, but it's not worth having.
Class. I have a lot of thoughts on Terrifier.
That's totally fine. That's totally fine.
I think when if you guys ever cover Terrifier on Fear Coded.
Oh, we covered Terrifier 2. That was the thing. We did a whole we had a clown month.
Nice.
And it was August. Honestly, it's fine. You can listen to our episode of Terrifier 2. I have a lot of thoughts.
Okay, fair enough.
I'll pull some audio and drop it in here.
There you go.
I have several minutes of yelling about how the fucking skirt on her outfit is non-functional and awful.
There is a lot of emotive that comes through, and so we do need an actor who can act, and that is where I think David Thornton Howard is bringing it, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, the actor behind the villain is an often forgotten about part of like a supernatural slasher series, because like the person who is Jason has been replaced a couple of times, but people always know who the Jason is, and they have lots of opinions on how the physicality is portrayed. Freddy Krueger has one actor who is the Freddy, and then there have been people who have like tried to do their own spin on it. Like, I don't know if you know this or not, but after the first Freddy, the Nightmare on Elm Street movie, they actually tried, because it is a mask, they tried to replace it, and they did a few screen tests, and it simply didn't work without that actor. So like, I do think that this actor, who is doing such a good job at the mime, is inherent to the success of the film for what it is. Would love to see him in a better movie, because he can do it. Yeah. He can do it. It's just the script and everything else that's letting us down. Like, and that's a bummer.
Agreed.
What about the mime? What about the mime of it all? We have a mime.
Yeah, and it is Auguste.
Yeah, and this is a mime clown is a traditional form of clowning. I didn't realize it, but like it's a whole school, like it's a whole thing. And his face paint does actually resemble a traditional mime clown. Anyway, can we talk about the movie? One of Allison's note here is that Dorothy is honestly the worst character, and she found the character absolutely insufferable, which, like, she says that we assume that we're supposed to, but at least you sort of feel for the other girls, and she's just irredeemable. And I think that's the point, right? I think that, like, Dorothy sees herself as a victim of fate, and, like, everything else is always everybody else's fault, even though this is directly... Everything that happens is because of what she did. Because she said that this kid assaulted her at this party, right? But like even like the way that she blows up at Kate, the main character, and be like, "You guys all think I'm fat still. I'm your fat friend." Truly, it's just her. She cannot take it. The fact that she isn't the victim in everybody else's story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. She's internal. Like you mentioned earlier, she's sort of internalized that middle school image of herself. And again, though, even, I mean, it's hard to tell because in that opening scene where the stage is sort of set for why this is all happening, she is kind of sitting on her own. So maybe, I don't know if it's not clear to me that if she is already friends with this group or
they mentioned that they've been friends for a really long time. And I will say, I went to a lot of middle school dances, including Valentine's Day dances, and I didn't get it. Again, my whole life, I've never really understood, and up until the point where I was like, oh, you don't feel that way about people. That's just not how you're built. So, like, I've had a lot of awkward interactions about romance and stuff, but when I went to Valentine's Day parties, even when my friends were dancing, I was hanging out with other people. She is sitting on the bleachers alone, which you're there with your friends. They're all standing and talking in groups, as most people do at middle school dances. She could be hanging out with her friends. Instead, she's sitting there feeling sorry for herself. It's like she's got the victim complex. It's in her. The worm is in her brain,
and she's not able to. I mean, see what I mean. She's so hung up on this having a hot guy or having the best guy, and instead of like, I mean, you're rich. You've clearly got some sort of access to wealth, even though her dad seems like a loon.
She definitely has a trust fund. They make mention of it several times, right?
She's an attractive woman. I mean, clearly has a lot of things going for her. I mean, she seems like she's, well put together in terms of her friend group. But yeah, she's obsessed with. So it makes her interesting as a potential killer. Even though, like, I never thought, like, I never once thought, like, this is a woman doing this. Like it's pretty, like, it just didn't make sense to me that this would be her doing this. But it is interesting to almost, and it is kind of almost satisfying at the end to see her unveiled under the mask, as weird as that is.
That's why I wish that, like, the when we see the killer that's her, like, I wish that they had done something else there, because it's so obviously, like, she never in, like, going after anybody under her own power, right? Like, they open a door, she falls, they fall down the stairs, she starts to sit up and then is immediately shot. I wish there was, like, something where she's, like, walking towards Kate or something, and then they fall down the stairs together, because something more to, like, make that reveal, like, pretend like it makes more sense, you know?
Yeah, but see, at that point when you're thinking about it, it wouldn't make sense, because, like, she would at some point realize she has a mask on, and, like,
which is
why is she still walking at her with a mask, right? You know,
yeah,
it's
like,
the
maybe
weird
it's
part.
like velcroed on, like it can't be taken off or something.
Yeah, okay, fair. Yeah, I mean, I love the big reveal at the end with her. I think it's it's fun, unique. I do think that there is a separate film in another universe where she is the killer. I think they are very open about, like, the whole movie isn't about her being the killer. It's about it being Jeremy Melton and trying to figure out who is Jeremy Melton at this point, right? You could absolutely had done this film and made her the killer, and it would have been just as fun.
Yeah. I almost wish, like, because there's no internal reveal where Kate realizes that actually her boyfriend is really Jeremy.
The blood's falling down her face out of his nose and she doesn't realize it.
But as far as I can remember, I don't think there's ever a situation where they see that happen.
He gets a nosebleed with
at
Arizona.
The dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I wish that like there was something, honestly, and the fact that she doesn't react at all when the blood is dripping down
that's
her
weird.
face.
Yeah.
Like, I wish that there was something, either that or like we see that he had stabbed her and she's already dead, you know?
Right.
It is interesting that like his little speech, I mean, because it's like that's such the like his justification for all this, basically, that he's basically speaking out loud why this all happened, even though she thinks it's her talking about Dorothy and not himself. But it's like that's totally like it's like the why like we end up with incels and Me Too and everything, like, is these people that just are convinced that they are owed something that they aren't getting.
He's got the brain worms too.
I did want to talk just for a second about Marley Shelton a little bit. We've touched on it a little bit, but she would she's the final girl, the survivor. You mentioned she probably it would have been hard to get her back for a sequel, Merrilee, and I agree. I think that would have been tough, but she was probably the most possible person to bring back in terms of, but she was starting to book some different things. She's ended up having a pretty good TV career, but the thing that I grew up seeing her in the most was another 2001 movie. She's in 3. She was in Bubble Boy, which I've never watched. It was something that I was familiar with.
I saw that on MTV all the time.
Yeah, it was something I was familiar with growing up, but never watched. And the one that I really actually quite like and want to find a way to talk about on this show is Sugar and Spice. And it's just a fun, again, a kind of a quick 100 minute heist, technically I guess the heist movie, and just pretty silly, high concept comedy type thing that she's the main cheerleader in that movie, and it's great. I mean, again, it's kind of, she's working on again that kind of knockoff Anna Faris thing.
Loved that movie.
Oh, it's fantastic, and it's one
another iconic poster that you talk about, Josh, in one of our previous podcasts. Like,
Yes.
you just see the poster and you know what that is.
100%. That was a big movie in our house growing up. My sisters were both cheerleaders and did the whole kind of traditional thing there, and I'd bet outside of maybe like Shrek, I've seen that movie more than any other 2001 movie. But it didn't get drafted. Like, we didn't draft it, and so
Neither did Legally Blonde, but we have to do both of those.
Yeah,
films.
we didn't draft Legally Blonde either. That's probably our biggest, like, not oversight. I think we were all aware of it by the end of the draft that it was going to have a hard time getting drafted, but right afterwards, it's like, oh my god.
Well,
we have
honestly,
to do it.
you should do a bonus episode on Legally Blonde because she deserves it.
Oh no, it's happening. Like, that's just like, that's the biggest 2001 movie, but I think it's the biggest snub of our draft, and it's not even close.
I will say, looking at her filmography, I didn't realize that she was Wendy Peppercorn in The Sandlot, and that is like iconic role.
That's Wendy? Wow.
Yeah.
I love Wendy Peppercorn. I didn't realize that was her. That's crazy.
Right? I didn't see
That actually legitimately blows my mind.
Right?
She was also in Death Proof and Planet Terror, which are two of the things I
Well, she's
dig.
probably in one of those, but they were like a joint movie. It was
Well,
called
right,
a Grindhouse.
Yeah.
I never really got too far into Planet Terror. I did love Death Proof though. Death Proof is awesome. If you're a Tarantino fan, check it out.
She is in Scream. She's in Scream 4 and Scream as Judy Higgs.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yes, she's the sheriff.
She's the officer. Yep.
Yeah, she's the new deputy who has the hots for Sheriff Dewey.
Yeah. Her lemon squares taste like ass.
I think that's a good place for her to have landed. It's like, it's cool that was in that, like, because that was like, because this movie sort of, was formed from Scream,
spawn of Scream,
and for her to end up there is kind of fitting. I like that.
Yeah, and she's got spoilers for Scream 5, but she's got a great death too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Judy Hicks, holy crap!
Right?
It's weird. I'm usually pretty good about like figuring, like seeing somebody and knowing immediately who they are, and I never put that together that was her. Like, right, with Wendy Peppercorn too. That blows my mind, actually.
Yeah, again, I didn't realize she was Wendy Peppercorn, but what a blast from the past. I should watch The Sandlot again.
Yes, you should. It's amazing. It's amazing.
One of my favorite childhood movies.
Yeah. Okay, so I feel like we've covered pretty much all our bases on this film and talked about it well enough. It seems to be that we're all three fans of it. Allison is not. But here comes the big question. 25 years later, does this movie matter?
Must a movie matter?
so I think,
on this show.
I get if you have to ask if this is the format of your podcast, no, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It's just a little nothing. It's so much fun, and just because it doesn't matter doesn't mean that I'm not glad it exists and not glad to watch it. I'm not glad to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, no, it really doesn't. There are 18 movies I can think of off the bat that does what this movie does better.
I often approach this question a bit, probably more high-mindedly than I ought to, and so I end up being the guy who almost, I feel like I find myself almost saying everything matters.
I think that's a bad stance to have. I think.
Yeah.
But so I look at it I think it's a cool time capsule in one sense that we've talked about, but we haven't really touched on necessarily because we weren't experiencing this at the time. Like, we were children. Well, Merrilee, I think you're our age. I don't know how old you are. You don't have to say, but like, we're in our 30s.
I was born in 1991. I was still a child.
Yeah, so we're all in our 30s, and so we weren't speed dating. We weren't doing that sort of thing. But like, that was such the way dating looked in 2001. Mm-hmm. was so much different than from how it looked even like 10 years later, and now 25 years later it looks, it's a completely different thing. But there's similarities. Like, I think things like I talked about Bumble earlier. I think those mm-hmm. things like that, there are parallels to what was happening at the time when you would try to go out and meet people in mass. But it was still more interfacing.
Mm-hmm. I think speed dating has come back, honestly, because people are so tired of like apps and stuff. Like, I've seen people talk about speed dating events. So listen, if you wanted to remake this movie, now is the time, I guess. I think.
Well, I do. So hearing that, then I will say it definitely matters, because it's like, here's what can happen. You might
mm-hmm. You might get murdered.
But I do think it is interesting. Again, we talked about this a little bit, that this didn't have like a direct-to-video sequel. Like, because I think you could have just had, especially for something like that, because it would have had a smaller budget, you could have just slopped. There's been some really bad direct-to-video sequels to some things. Like, you could have just used the name and had a completely different cast and probably.
Honestly, I think you probably could have done "I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer" style with it, and have like the Legend of a Cupid Killer and like just
Valentine 2: The Kiss of Death.
Oh, that's so good.
I know, right?
I'd love to watch that.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So, okay. For me, it depends on how you look at it, right? Like, if you're looking for like this grandiose thing, no, this film doesn't matter. But as somebody who's a fan of the horror genre, I'm going to say it does matter, in the sense that it's still a fun movie. It's interesting. It's try to create a new original killer concept, like mm-hmm. with all these other masked characters, and it holds up to them. Like, a lot of times, like I talked about earlier, you have a masked killer and it kind of sucks. It's a flop. It's not like, but I'm not saying that like Jeremy Melton holds his own with Michael Myers, but like he doesn't. But what I mean is, like, he's still at a level there to where it doesn't feel like it's a parody, right? And as far as holiday movies go, like for the slasher genre, I find this movie to be really fun, refreshing, and something that I can watch around Valentine's Day and enjoy. Like if they were to say, "Hey, Valentine's Day weekend at the drive-in theater, we're doing Valentine. Bring your girlfriend."
Ooh,
Like
this
I
would be
would
fun.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I
I
think
would.
this would be a great drive-in movie.
Yeah, I would absolutely go. I think it would be just badass. So in that sense, yes, to me it does matter. Also, like I think it's better than My Bloody Valentine if we're gonna go that route, like for Valentine horror movies and holiday horror movies in general, it's not the top, but I think it's something that deserves consideration. And if you're looking for something that's fun, entertaining, a quick burn popcorn movie that you want to just have fun with, yes, like enjoy it. And that's what it's made for. That's what, like, when they're making this movie, even in the special features, when they're like just talking about making the film, they're really big on like, yeah, we just want to have fun. Like, this is a fun horror movie, and that's what it's made for. And so, in that sense, like, not all movies have to be serious, grandiose. So it matters in the sense that, like, if you do something because you love to make horror movies and you want to do something fun and just be enjoyable, and you're not shooting for the moon, but you just want to make a fun movie, yes.
Yeah. Again, like that's part of the reason why I really liked this movie. I think we need more mid-budget movies in general, but especially like mid-budget horror. And this is so perfectly that niche. I loved it. Again, if you ask if it matters, that's such a different can of worms. I think it's great, and I'm glad that it exists.
Just the last thing I want to call out again about it is just how good the for the time, especially how kind of fleshed out the women are in this movie in terms of just having the entire film wrapped around them. Now, I do think something I hadn't considered though. I do wonder for all of the lengths it goes to kind of give these people life as characters, if it passes the Bechdel test, because the entire movie is about dating and so I do think that's kind of interesting to think about. Like, I'd have to go back and watch every frame because it's like
I didn't think about that. But by the way, for your information, Allison Bechdel, who's the test is named after, wants people to call it the Bechdel-Wallace test to honor its co-creator Liz Wallace.
Okay.
For those of us who are unaware of the Bechdel-Wallace test, what is that?
So the Bechdel-Wallace test is like, it's just like this idea. It comes from a very influential comic, Dykes to Watch Out For, that like Alison Bechdel made. And the idea is that it's Liz Wallace and Alison Bechdel walking out of a movie theater, and they're talking about the movie. And they were like, basically it boils down to, are there two named women in the film who talk to each other about something that isn't a man, and the two of them are doing this because they want to imagine that there are lesbians in the movie.
Okay, all right.
And I think that's the key, like, because it's the whole movie revolves around these women, but it is also about dating.
Yeah. So the idea is like, are there more than one female character? Do they have names? Do they talk to each other about something not a man?
Okay. Yeah, I would think you'd be hard pressed in this film to find that.
I think it does, if only because there's that scene at the funeral where all of the ladies are talking about their friend who is dead.
Yeah,
that's
that
fair.
would be it. That would probably be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at the very least, you've got that one scene who got.
Yeah. It passes the
We
test.
nailed it.
Let's go.
D minus, baby.
Yeah. So.
Hey, listen, a passing grade.
A passing grade is a passing grade. That's right. Allison's review on Does This Movie Matter?
It'll shock you.
Yeah. Absolutely not. There's nothing new or interesting about it. It doesn't provide any sort of star-making turn for anyone's career. Her final tagline in it is that Jamie Blanks' Urban Legend is a far superior slasher film. And I'm curious as to what you guys think between this and Urban Legend. So
I've not seen it.
Okay.
Urban Legend's fun.
Cancel what you're doing. Go watch Urban Legend right now.
Yeah, Urban Legend's fun.
It's so much fun. It's a really, really, it's a delight. It's in that post-Scream slasher boom. And I've been trying to get David to watch Urban Legend, so like it's we're gonna get there someday. It's a lot of fun. It's just a good time.
I did
Yeah,
read.
and you've got Jamie. You've got some early Jared Leto in it. Danielle Harris is also in it. I love her. You know, she's the little girl from Halloween 4 and 5. But the cat it came out 3 years before this, so he had done that film before he did this one. Tara Reid also in it as well.
Yeah, Tara Reid's great. You know who else is really great in that movie? Is I can't remember his name right now, and it's honestly very embarrassing for me. But was one of my favorite characters in Fringe. Like the main lead in Fringe. Did you either of you guys watch that?
No.
God, he was so good.
Is it Michael Rosenbaum?
No, though I do love him. He was Lex Luthor on Smallville.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's in it. He's great.
There's
Joshua Jackson. There he is. He's my guy. Joshua Jackson was so good, and he's so blonde.
I like Loretta Devine in it as the female security officer.
Yeah,
Reese.
she's pretty good.
She's great. But no, Josh, I think you would really enjoy Urban Legend, especially if you enjoyed this film. They definitely have a similar vibe. They're both fun horror movies. The thing about Urban Legend that's really cool, again, an amazing opening sequence.
Yeah. Oh, and here's a fun thing. This movie's got cameos, basically cameo appearances by Brad Dourif and Robert Englund.
And Robert Englund.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
So I'll get around to checking it out. I like this movie, so I mean, if Urban Legend is better, or it's, I mean, the same director, I mean, it's got to be pretty solid. I was reading something about, he had a movie come out, I think it's called Storm Warning, that people also like. It was a few years later, but I was reading something ahead of that he was interviewed by a website, and he basically apologized for Valentine. Like, it was just a very kind of quick comment. He was talking about Urban Legend, and someone, or the questioner, brought up Urban Legend and Valentine. He's like, or somehow those two movies got brought up, and he and he just kind of said, "Yeah, I apologize for the second one. It just kind of got away from us or something." So, and this was in 2007, I guess the interview, or 2006, and now it's like, I wonder what he would. I think that commentary on the Blu-ray might be newly recorded, so I might go back and listen to that and see what he thinks of the movie now, because I feel like I can see why this movie got bad critical reception at the time. I mean, I think you're kind of like, you're fighting a different beast when it comes to critics, and you're on the heels of Scream, and I think some of the slasher stuff is starting to wear down people by that point. I think when you get away from it 25 years later, I think it certainly holds up way better than a lot of stuff from that year.
It's a really fun movie. It's a bit of a nothing, but I like it. It's like cotton candy.
Yeah, absolutely. So Merrilee, Urban Legend or Valentine, if you had to choose, what are you going with?
I'm really sorry. I do have to pick Urban Legend.
Okay. All right. I'm
I
hanging on
this
for
movie.
Valentine.
I don't want to have to choose, but if you make me.
That's fair. I agree. I don't agree. Oops.
Freudian slip right there.
I understand where you're coming from. And that's totally okay. I don't know why. I just have more of affinity towards Valentine.
Don't think there's a wrong answer. I think if you love Valentine, then great. It's a movie that deserves your love.
Absolutely. You know what? That's a good tagline for this episode. Valentine, a movie that deserves your love. So, unless you guys have anything else, I think that pretty much concludes what we have to say about this film. Appreciate everybody for listening and checking us out. This has been a fun bonus episode, and last but not least, hide your nosebleeds, clog them up when you get angry, and stay out of the hot tubs.
Stay out of the hot tub, and don't have someone sent to reform school in middle school, because that'll come back and bite you.
Yeah, or apologize at least.
Yeah, come on.
We want to, before we go, just thank Merrilee again for joining us for this episode on such short notice. It's incredible that you were able to do that. It's been great. I hope you want to come back if it's something you'd be interested in down the road.
I would be thrilled. This was so much fun. You guys are so delightful. This was such a really lovely experience. Thank you so much.
Absolute
for
pleasure having you. Thank you.
Yes, and just plug away again. Tell the people where you are, what you do.
Well, yeah. So again, I'm on Fear Coded. We release a new episode every Monday. And in fact, if you liked this movie, let me tell you, we've got a lot of really good content you might enjoy, especially because this February, we're doing romance and horror for Halloween. We're doing
Halloween.
Halloween.
That's
We're doing,
amazing.
all the hits. We're doing My Bloody Valentine. We had actually a Patreon pick episode, and our patrons decided that of the options for romance and horror that we had options, we're doing Misery, which I think is incredible as a Halloween pick.
Nice.
What else are we doing? God, it's so much fun. If you like romance and horror, like Valentine's Day horror movies, you should come check it out. We're also doing the Doki Doki Literature Club video game.
That's
And
interesting. I've played a little bit of that. It's funky.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's gonna be a really good time. I can't wait to do it. And we're also covering Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Yes.
movie. We did Dractober last year for Halloween, and so we did the book and we watched the original movie. But we're going to the super lush, super inviting Francis Ford Coppola film.
Yes.
Icon.
Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
Amazing
for
movie.
Halloween.
Well, honestly, probably until Nosferatu came out, the best Dracula or vampire film was Bram Stoker's by Francis Ford Coppola. I think Nosferatu might top that. It's pretty awesome, but I find it odd that we're getting another Dracula film this February.
I don't think that's weird at all. I think that's just how movies work.
Yeah, but you really want to follow up Nosferatu that quickly? You know?
I mean, Nosferatu is not technically a Dracula adaptation.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is Dracula word for word, just changed the names. That's why the silent film disappeared for the longest time.
Listen, Bram Stoker's widow had a lot of thoughts to say, and they were right, but
100% right. So
honestly, my favorite part of Nosferatu is the fact that they because it's out of copyright already, they added in a Van Helsing character which did not exist in the original Nosferatu to make it more like Dracula.
Even more like Dracula. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, when I watched it, I was like, wow, they've just completely just took the entire Dracula story, which is what Nosferatu, the original film, tried to do, but they just really leaned into it plot wise, which makes me a little bit even more excited for Werewolf when Robert Eggers does that, because I think that is going to be an original concept film of his. I'm here for it.
It's very difficult to do. Listen, for our Octobers, we decided that we're going to do a Universal monster focus. That's what we do. So we did Frankenstein for year one, and then we did Dractober last year. I'm gonna push really hard for Wolfman for this year, but we'll see.
Yeah, get you some Benicio del Toro and some Anthony Hopkins in there.
Yes, I love that, but we'll
There's
see.
plenty of
we'll
them.
See. Honestly, I could also decide that we should do Phantom of the Opera. Again, I'm not the final say. I've got my two beautiful co-hosts, but
there you go.
We'll see who wins.
Well, we're Team Merrilee now, so
yeah.
Sorry, David, Tyler.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was a delight.
Absolutely, swing by anytime. So.
Oh yeah, and you can follow us on Fear Coded Pod on Instagram and Blue Sky, or again everywhere you get your podcasts. Every Monday we have a new episode.
Go subscribe.
Well, guys, this has been a delight. Thank you everybody for listening, and we'll catch you all next week when we're back doing our traditional films. But hope you guys enjoyed the bonus episodes that we released for you this week, and can't wait to check you all out next time.
Know you later.
Catch you on the flip side.
Start bleeding.